Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
Greetings, Bat Family. Welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Please visit our website, holybatcast.com. It's your one-stop shopping for all things around the show, but you can find us all over the internet and all the other places that you hang out, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. Just search for Holy BatCast and you will find us. We are also on Patreon, so if you want to help support the show, keep us rolling, we would appreciate it. You can do that at patreon.com/holybatcast. And as always, it's Thanksgiving, so I must give thanks to all our patrons who are part of our family. We couldn't do it without you. You guys are awesome. So huge thank you, patreon.com/holybatcast. We're a proud part of the Real Fans Podcast Network, so if you want to check out some of the other shows there, you can do that at rf4rm.com. And as always, I'm your host, Andy DiGenova. If you'd like to follow me, you can do that on Instagram or on Twitter. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. Now, this episode, we are going to be looking at and celebrating the third and final trailer for James Wan's Aquaman, coming to theaters in just about a month or so. Joining me for that, he found time in his very busy Thanksgiving schedule, and we're all appreciative. It's our favorite big turkey. It's Jamie Drewley. Hey, Jamie.
He woke me up out of tryptophan coma number 1 of 3 for this, so yeah, here we are.
I appreciate it. I know the listeners appreciate it. When you're gone for too long, people start to worry. So I'm glad that you were able to make this happen.
Me too. I didn't want this trailer, but by God, I'm glad I saw it.
I understand the conflicting emotions. I get it. So yeah, as what usually happens. Actually, wait, before we get to the trailer, I gotta say something else really quick. On the last episode, I had Brendan on. You know, your normal understudy. And we talked a lot about Titans, which is, you know, giving me so much joy week to week. And I said that I thought they were doing like a full-on season of 23 episodes because on IMDb, all the characters were credited with 23 episodes. And then one of our friends, Brent from...
Brent Clark?
Yes, Brent Clark. He pointed out that when they announced season 2 for Titans, IMDb added that extra episode count, and so it's actually 12 episodes in season 1 and then 12 episodes in season 2 for a total of 24. So that's where the confusion came from. I'm sorry for getting people's hopes up that we were getting a full 23 or 24 episodes in season 1 of Titans. I was excited too. I apparently misunderstood. So yeah, we're getting 12 episodes in season 1 and then another 12 for season 2. So that's my little correction that I had to throw out there. So sorry about that.
I have not listened to the episode with Brendan yet because it just loaded on my feed this morning. So I assume you guys must have recorded that like yesterday or something.
We recorded it on Saturday.
Okay. Did you figure out what I was saying about that quote unquote cameo yet?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was trying to be vague about it, and then you accused me of being spoilery, and I did not like being accused of that because I hate when people do that shit to me.
But still, telling people there's a Batcave flashback is still spoilery.
Well, I mean, the Batcave thing is, I mean, that was...
So the whole time you sit there going, okay, when are they going to show the Batcave?
Okay. All right. But anyway.
Doesn't mean I don't love you.
Well, it wasn't much of a Batcave, but anyway.
But yes, we did discuss it.
I couldn't just say the cameo and the flashback because there's like 16 flashbacks in that episode. So it's anyway. Not important.
I get it. So
you
it's all
understand.
good.
You understand what the cameo was I was talking about.
Of course, yes. It's pretty unmistakable.
Yeah.
So
pretty spectacular, if you ask me. I would have liked to have seen more, but
patience. Anyway. On that episode, you haven't listened to it yet, but we also talked about Aquaman. We talked about the new posters for Aquaman. We talked about it coming up soon. We talked about some of the screenings that were happening. And as is always the case, I jinxed us. So just know, when you listen to the show, as soon as I say something like, oh, I guess we're not getting a third Aquaman trailer, that's when the universe is like, oh, Andy, aren't you silly? No, here's an Aquaman trailer 2 days later. Because that happened not too long ago. Someone said, oh, what do you think the next DC movie going into production is going to be? And I said, The Flash. It seems like The Flash is going to happen. And 2 days later, they're like, Flash is delayed another 6 months. And so, just know that when you hear, I can jinx us on anything. But in this case, the jinx worked out in our favor.
You've been around me so long that every one of your predictions is useless now.
So, what's the old phrase? If it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have no luck at all.
Yeah, it's like a country song sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much how it goes. But yeah, on the episode, we were talking about Aquaman, and I said, well, apparently we're not getting one for Thanksgiving. Maybe we'll get one in December. And then 2 days later, here we go. Third and final Aquaman trailer, along with tickets going on sale and kind of that last big push. So we got the trailer, we got tickets go on sale, and the early screenings for Amazon Prime members. So if you're part of Amazon Prime, 1,000 theaters across the country are showing Aquaman on the 15th of December. So nearly a week in advance.
And I assume that's what you got your tickets for, yes?
You're darn tootin'. Absolutely. So
because even measly little Cornfield, Indiana got that. So that's what I'll be doing on the evening of the 15th.
Well, that's what I was so impressed with, and that's kind of where I was going, is Wonder Woman, they did advanced screenings, but it was like 6 cities or something. It was still pretty small when they did the advanced screenings for Wonder Woman. And for this one, when I saw that the theater count was 1,000, I was like, oh, wow, they're going wide with this. That's impressive. So
yeah, there were actually multiple theaters in my town that had it, matter of fact.
Yeah, I mean, 1,000 is a good amount of theaters. And so almost everyone kind of gets a shot at this as long as you're part of Amazon Prime. And if you're not part of Amazon Prime, you should be, because it's worth it just for the free shipping. But so I went on, got my tickets. I'm all set to go on the 15th. Of course, I'll go again less than a week later on opening night. But very cool thing that, and I saw almost everyone like kind of in our DC circle, they've all been snapping up their tickets for the 15th. So very exciting that we're going to get to see it almost a week early.
Still got to duck the foreign markets because I'm pretty sure they're 2 weeks before us, aren't they?
Something like that. So do you get tickets for the whole family?
My wife doesn't want to go, but me and the kids are going.
All right, well, her loss.
Matter of fact, my son's got to duck out early for my birthday party to go to.
Excellent. So super exciting. Yeah, I was like texting friends being like, okay, Aquaman, tickets. And they were taking too long to text back, and I'm just going to assume you want to go. I'm buying tickets. So we're all set.
Hey, what's the worst that'll happen? You can just stretch yourself out and lay down, get a pillow and a blanket there, you know?
Yep, exactly. Get cozy. So we did get a final trailer, and so even though you fine folks at home just got a new episode of Holy BatCast, thanks to me and Brendan this morning as of this recording, you're getting another episode this week, which is good because with the holiday coming, I don't know when the next recording will be. So now I feel a little less guilty because you're going to have 2 episodes in 1 week. And if you love this show, you're welcome. And if you don't like this show, well, why are you listening to it? But anyway, we're over-delivering at the beginning of the week, so that way we can take Thanksgiving off and not feel too bad about it.
That tryptophan's going to work us over, so we got to make sure we get it done beforehand.
For sure. So we get this final trailer. We got our tickets. The ramp up to Aquaman is coming. The hype is real. And trailer 3, Jamie, thoughts, impressions, feelings. Tell me everything.
My first question is that music. Is that stock filled music from something else that I don't know, or is this what we're getting in the movie?
My guess is it's from the score.
Because it's pretty doggone good.
It's great. It's really good. And I also feel like it is very similar to the music we had in the previous trailer, which makes me wonder if we've been hearing Aquaman music this whole time and didn't realize it.
You see, I don't have anything bad to say about the music in previous trailers or the extended footage or any of that, but none of it jumped out at me the way that this one did for some reason. And it could just be that they use more of the quieter, more toned down portion of the music or something, I guess. But the music, the theme that's playing through this one really impressed me. I really like it a lot. So much so that if it's not part of the score, I'm going to be kind of disappointed at this point.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, the movie is done, the score is done, and so I mean, a bunch of people saw the movie a few days ago, and so Yeah, if I'm betting money, I'm thinking this is Rupert Gregson Williams' score for Aquaman. And so far, I'm loving it.
I'll take it. But this is a very rich, very full, very holy crap, I can't believe the amount of stuff going on in 2 minutes and 31 seconds trailer. I mean, it's I don't want to say it's up to the snuff of the final Man of Steel trailer, which to me is still the best movie trailer ever made in the history of mankind. But
yeah.
Wow, there's a ton of stuff going on. And reactions I've seen today indicate from anyone from people who have seen the film that we know to James Wan himself, this isn't even close to all of it.
Right. Yeah.
I find that incredibly encouraging.
For sure. I mean, that's always the concern is, the trailer showed me a little too much. I remember that was your biggest complaint about Wonder Woman. It wasn't the movie. It was just that you felt you'd seen a little too much in advance. Indeed. And that's always the concern, especially when we're like, oh, maybe we're not going to get a third trailer. We get to remain a little bit less spoiled. But our buddy Paul Shirey over at Joe Blow, he's seen the movie and he said that. He goes, yeah, you know what? That's a great trailer, but it does not, there's so much left to discover. And then someone said the same thing to James Wan. And again, the other reason I love James Wan is he doesn't ignore the trolls. He stands right up to him, and someone was like, why are you showing so much? And he said, what does he say? He said, to quote Volko, not even close.
Yeah. And to say that about something that has this much gore, I mean, by my count, and of course I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know how to piece it together. By my count, there's like 9 or 10 completely different sequences shown in this trailer.
Yeah. There's a lot going on, but it all makes sense, and it's all, a lot of it is additional shots of things that we've already seen, like the fight between Orm and Arthur, which I think is kind of ramping up to be one for the ages. To see like the intensity and the choreography and the action that we are seeing in that underwater fight is blowing my mind. It just looks amazing. That slow-mo shot of the trident going over Orm and Orm kind of going backwards and us just seeing the ripples through the water as it goes. There's a certain point where he throws a flaming boulder at him. That fight I think is going to be something really spectacular. And I think that in the very first trailer when we talked about, you loved that shot of all the Atlanteans kind of being thrown back and then cheering.
Yes.
I mean, that's gotta be from that sequence.
One would certainly assume so, yes. I mean, that's...
Yeah, that sequence, I'm like, oh my God, this just looks amazing. And there's so much of that. But, this trailer is a little more origin-y in that we're getting to see a little bit of younger Arthur training with Volko. And Volko is something that we haven't seen a lot of up until now. And now we get our first real glimpses of him. And he seems like a great mentor character.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go wrong with Willem Dafoe anyway, but I really think this character is going to be a standout for me. That's my initial gut feeling of it anyway is, I always get these, well, not always, but a lot of times I get these unusual characters that I just kind of latch onto with the film that aren't necessarily your main players or villains. And to me, he really feels like he's going to be one of those.
Oh, totally. He looks awesome, and just those couple little moments that we see of him are really great, where young Arthur is like, oh, I already know how to swim, and that's when Volko gives him the, oh, not even close. And I love what they're doing with the swimming in this. If you're making a Superman movie, one of the most important things of Superman is how do you do his flight? How do you make that flight amazing and powerful and awesome? And I feel like James Wan took that very same approach with Aquaman swimming, because Aquaman flies through the water with power, and it's really impressive. And to see him and Mera doing it, and to see he and Volko doing it, I just love the way that that's coming together.
The style of it, I think, is great. I mean, if you'll pardon the partially unintentional pun, it's really fluid, and it looks smooth, and it just... to me, that it seems like the underwater stuff, there should almost be like a slowed down pace or kind of like I don't know how to say this exactly right. Like you've been in the pool, you've swam, you move around, and it feels smooth and easy, and it flows really well and everything, but you're moving so much slower than you would if you weren't in the water. So to me, it almost seems like I feel like everybody in this movie should be doing that same thing, but they're moving and talking and everything is just like we would up here in the air, and it looks natural. I mean, it looks right. I was concerned when they said, oh, they're just going to talk, or, oh, they're just going to, fly through the water, or any of that stuff. It all seemed to me like it was just going to be just a little unusual because I'm not accustomed to seeing that sort of thing. But from what I see in these trailers and the footage that we've gotten so far, it's really, it looks right. It looks natural. It feels good. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, totally. And that's kind of what I was getting at with that fight between Orm and Arthur is like, you're right. If you try to swing a punch, us mere mortals try to swing a punch underwater, it's super slow and kind of sad. But to see the power with the way they're fighting underwater, is super exciting and impressive. And the reason for it is these Atlanteans, Arthur and Vulko and Orm, they're superhumanly strong. So when they're fighting underwater or swimming underwater, their strength allows them to move with the power that we do in just air.
Yeah.
So no, I agree with you. And the talking underwater, yeah, like that was going to be, like that was a big question mark. They kind of sidestepped it in Justice League. And then James Wan said, no, I'm just going to make him talk. And it was one of those, when he said it, I was like, oh, cool, that's great. I hope it works. And then you're seeing it and you're like, all right, I do think that there's something to be said for moviegoers will accept, it's like the old cliche, they'll accept the reality with which they're presented. And it's the same thing. It's like, if you just let them talk and say, yeah, they can talk underwater, then as a moviegoer, you go, okay, I guess they can talk underwater. Fine by me. And you just go with it.
He said that, and I was just like, how's that going to work? And, like air bubbles and all that. And then I realized these people they're not breathing air, so there wouldn't be any air bubbles. I mean, it would be like that. I mean, sound waves obviously travel differently underwater than they do in the air. So the whole thing seemed like it was just really going to be a strange experience, but Juan seems to have taken an approach that is going to make everything feel just exactly the way it should, and it's not going to be something that you're just kind of raising an eyebrow at going, that's weird. It just, nothing about it seems weird to me in what I've seen and heard so far.
Oh, totally. And that's what I love about James Wan's approach to this material and everything that we're seeing of the movie is he's embracing the world. It just is what it is. Atlantis is Atlantis. This is what these can do. This is Aquaman's world. He's not trying to over-explain it. He's not trying to justify it. He's not trying to get out of certain aspects of it. He's embracing it wholeheartedly. And I love it. As a fan of DC Comics, as a fan of the character of Aquaman, that makes me so ridiculously happy because I don't like it when people are like, oh, that part of the comic doesn't work, so we're not going to do blank. There's none of that here. James Wan said, okay, what is Aquaman's mythos? What is his world? What is his abilities? Who are his characters? What do they look like? What do they wear? What can they do? What are the creatures? And I'm doing all of it. I feel like they're leaving nothing on the table. I feel like James Wan took this movie and said, let's pretend we only get one shot at this. We're going to do it all. We're going to do Ocean Master. We're going to do Black Manta. We're going to do an underwater creature battle, the likes of which you've never seen. We're going to do manta ray ship dogfights underwater.
And for all of that, it still embraces the simplicity of it in that they're not overthinking it. Like, bless Nolan and everybody that worked on those films. I have a great appreciation for what they did in those movies, but the whole, how does this work in a reality-based practical application? They've kind of taken that with this movie and thrown it straight out the window. And frankly, I don't care. I'm glad they did because by not overthinking it, they're keeping it simple enough that it's not. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it than they don't seem to have overthought a lot of this. I mean, all of their thought and effort seems to be in the presentation and the characters. It does not seem to be in the how does this work physics-wise and whatnot. So I think that's fantastic, and I think that's going to make for a really enjoyable ride with this because it doesn't have that baggage coming with it.
Well, and that's exactly it. And you kind of nailed it. And I love the Nolan films too, but what always frustrated me about the Nolan films is that it seems like Christopher Nolan took a bunch of stuff off the table and said, that stuff doesn't work. And says who? Why not? Why can't it work? Make it work. And so I love that James Wan is doing that. Like, everyone looks how they should. Atlantis looks how it should. They're riding sharks. They're riding sea dragons. Like, all in. Embrace what you've got. Embrace the property. And it looks amazing. Like, this is the version of Atlantis I've always wanted to see on screen. And I've never quite gotten. You know, I remember when Waterworld was announced and all I knew was the title and that Kevin Costner was going to be in it. This is what I hoped it was going to be. And obviously this was not what they were going for. When the Disney movie Atlantis: The Lost Empire was announced, I was like, okay, now's my chance. And it still wasn't quite this. And now I'm like, no, this is the Atlantis I've been waiting to see in a movie forever. It's completely underwater. It's completely fantastical. It's completely beautiful. It's fantasy, and you've got the creatures being a part of it, and it just looks like what I've been waiting for. So I'm thrilled with it. We finally get our reveal of Orm in his full-on Ocean Master garb here. That was something that we hadn't really seen. We had seen it in pictures, or at least in illustrations, maybe? We've definitely seen it in toy version, but we hadn't seen any footage of it until this. So we get that reveal, and arguably my favorite shot in the trailer, where he is riding the back of his Tylosaur in his full Ocean Master garb. That is pure geek joy right there.
Even if I hadn't seen that tweet from you earlier today, that would have easily been the mark in the trailer where I said, that's why Andy's going to be in the theater that night.
I'm so predictable. I mean, but there's a lot of that, you know, throughout. There's a lot of just geek out moments, again, around Atlantis, around Arthur. You get another great moment with Atlanta here. And again, like, this is the trailer that gives a little more story, gives a little more heart before it gets to the big spectacle. And it looks like the movie is doing all those things because it starts kind of quiet with Arthur and his father and his mother kind of setting that up and what he's being told about his heritage. You know, learning about the trident, learning that this is something that could restore Atlantis and bring the worlds together. Obviously, things don't go that way for a while, but we get that nice, quiet setup. So it sets up the parents, it sets up Arthur, it sets up Vulko again, how he calls out to Mera that, oh, this is where Vulko taught me how to swim. And we get a little bit of that training. And you get that great shot of young Arthur joyfully swimming with the dolphins, which was like Andy's, 12-year-old dream of like, that was all I wanted to do was swim with the dolphins. And like that moment, you're like, oh, that's what you would do if you were a young Aquaman. Yeah, that looked great. That scream of pure joy that he has doing that was fantastic. This trailer here, the details brought forth here, and I say this in virtually nothing but a positive light, it has a really Wonder Woman feel to it. Like you're going to get just a brief abridged version of what life was like for him as a kid, but it's not going to be an hour before you see him in costume or in action as a full-grown Aquaman adult. It's not going to be, and I'm not saying Wonder Woman did do that. I'm just saying you got enough of her background early on in the film. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That you got a basis for the character, and I think that's what we're going to get here is a basis for the character, how he came to be, kind of who he is. I mean, obviously we've seen him in Justice League already, but it feels like it's going to give you enough of that backstory there, but it's not going to rely so much on it that it's going to bog the movie down.
Right. Well, I agree with you.
And with all the stuff happening here, I guess the run time's being said it's going to be about 2 hours and 20 minutes, which is probably about right for a movie of this type. I mean, that's usually where most of them land anymore. 2 hours and 20 minutes to fit this much stuff in it, and figure we're going to get at least 10 minutes of credits tacked onto the end of that. This thing's going to have a really fast pace to it, I think, and I'm perfectly okay with that, mind you. But
yeah, exactly. And I think that your comparison for Wonder Woman is perfect because you're right. You got to see, little kid Diana, you got to see training Diana, you got to see Themyscira Diana, but like it was all done so efficiently. And I also think that's something that Man of Steel does really well. There's an efficiency in storytelling of giving you the glimpses of the origin of Krypton, of young Clark, but without belaboring the point and making us wait too long for what's happening in the present. Or they could do it non-linearly like Zack Snyder did in Man of Steel and getting those flashbacks at the opportune times throughout the film. There are different ways to approach it, but I think you're right. I think we're going to get just enough of that, but it does feel like there's a lot of ground to cover in this. And I think that, again, it's the efficiency of storytelling that I'm fully confident that James Wan will give us. But no, I don't think we're going to get a full hour of adolescent Arthur. I think we're going to get just enough glimpses of it to understand the background and where he's coming from so we can get to the conflict of what's happening now.
Yeah, I agree.
We definitely, it's made very clear that yes, the MacGuffin in this is that trident, which we knew from the extended trailer anyway, because they talk about it there, but here it is, there's no denying it. So as they set it up with what Atlanta's telling young Arthur, they set it up with that hologram of that past king talking about, in the wrong hands, it causes destruction. In the right hands, it can unite the worlds. And then they're standing there with Vulko, and Vulko's like, you need to go get this. And he goes, I do love the shot of, already got one.
That was, look, I know I'm the no jokes guy by reputation and all, but I got a huge chuckle out of that, and I just love the way it's done. He just kind of does the thumb over the shoulder thing, and the camera pans over his shoulder, and you just kind of see it sitting there in the background. I think that's incredibly well done. I don't think it's over the top, and I got a good chuckle out of that. I thought the delivery by Momoa was great, and I just think the general layout of that particular exchange or scene or whatever you want to call it, I think that was really well done. I really like that a lot.
And what I love about it is that I love how they made the Justice League trident a part of the story. Like they made it a plot point of like going, yeah, that was his mother's, and that's what he used in Justice League, but it's not the final one. He's got to get the final. Like I just love that it all comes together. I think that's really cool because you're right. If you set it up, I mean, they're answering the question before the audience can ask it, because they're kind of speaking for the audience when he says, "Oh, I already got one." Because if they go, "Oh, you need to get this trident," people would go, "Doesn't he have one?" Well, guess what? It's not the same thing. So I just think it's smart storytelling to acknowledge the one from Justice League and also show that it's not the same. And Vulko gives him, what does he say? He says, not like this one. Yeah. So I think that's great. I think Orm looks awesome. I'm a huge fan of Patrick Wilson. I've talked about that in the past, but I think he looks great. So does he say something about the war? The war is coming to the surface world, whether you like it or not, or something like that. So yeah, he looks like a right bastard, which I look forward to.
He does, but you know what? He seems to, and again, limited exposure here. This is all just me speculating, piecing together what have you, but he doesn't feel like he's going to be one of those mustache twisting villains in this. And I'm not saying that, well, I don't even want to make comparisons, but he does not, I mean, bastard though he may be, he does not come off like a madman in this. You get so many villains anymore, and I like a good psychotic villain. I mean, don't get me wrong, but to not have him be like a common stereotype of a supervillain.
Well, if I can make the comparison, I don't know if this is where you were going, but it's almost like a Zod thing where he is putting his... I was
going to say that, and I just decided to leave it on the back, but that's exactly where my brain was going.
Well, in that he's putting his people first.
Yes.
His priority is his people. He's the king of Atlantis. He wants to do what's best for Atlantis, and all else be damned. And so you get why he thinks that way, but there's got to be a better way.
Right.
And he has the coolest ride in the ocean.
I don't know about cool. I mean, it's no giant seahorse, but...
I mean, it's pretty damn cool. So no, I mean, I'm super, super psyched to see him. Again, the outfit couldn't look more perfect. He just looks amazing.
That shot of him in I'm pretty sure it's the shot of him in the helmet. It's been like an hour since I watched it, and my memory sucks now. But there's a shot where like he turns back and looks toward the camera, and there's like something spinning behind him. I don't know if that's like a large boat propeller or what that is. I can't make it out. Did you get a good look at that?
I was too busy looking at him.
Okay. All right.
To be paying attention to what was going on behind him.
That's my problem with these trailers anymore. I'm too busy trying to find stuff hidden in the background that I am focusing on what's right in front of me.
So, yeah, I don't know. We'll find out. We get another great moment of Atlanta doing like this pretty awesome side kick to one of these.
Oh, God, that spinning back kick that nails that Atlantean warrior. Ooh, that sent chills down my spine.
Yeah, I love it. I just love that they, again, like Hippolyta, they're not wasting Mom. Mom is going to be awesome too.
And I'm appreciating the cinematography with some of that too. Like the angle that's taken on that kick is really, it's not just like a common camera sitting in place looking at some two people waiting to fight or something. It's almost like the camera's following her leg as the kick is delivered. I mean, I don't have enough knowledge of the technical aspects of filmmaking to be able to say what's what with that, but I can say that it's not a common looking action shot, and I like that about it. Yeah,
that's very James Wan. He does a lot of very creative camera moves. Some people don't like it. I love it. But he even did that with some of the fights in Furious 7. Fast Furious 7, whichever one that one was, whatever the actual title is. He did same thing with some really creative camera work in the action sequences. He doesn't like just shooting it. He likes to shoot the hell out of it. And I love that about him as a filmmaker. But you're right. That, it's not a standard shot. He gets creative with it, which is so him. Speaking of shooting the hell out of it, we've only seen a couple trailers. I haven't seen the movie yet, but right now, this is one of the most gorgeous looking comic book movies, or maybe any movie. The whole thing looks freaking gorgeous. It's a beautiful movie. Like every frame, I'm just like, oh my God, like it looks like candy. I want to eat it off the screen.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that want to say stuff about CGI or whatever. I've really resigned myself to not being critical of special effects as at least to a degree. The way I've come to realize it is special effects is just about like any other art. So, a lot of us are comic book readers, so I'll put it in perspective. You may or may not like a particular artist's style or presentation, but at least give it the respect that they do a job in a certain way, in a certain style. And even though you may not like it, it's probably better than what you could do at home. So I'm starting to look at special effects like that sort of thing. Like there's no way this movie's going to be done in practical effects. In fact, this discussion was had in the Real Fans group a couple days ago. It's just impossible to do a movie like this in all practical effects. Now, you can get a lot of practical mixed into it, certainly, and I'm sure it'll look great and everything, but this is one of those cases where probably 60 to 75% of the movie is going to have to be CGI. And for me, anyway, looking at what I've seen in these trailers, I think it looks fantastic. I don't have any complaints about the creatures, the costumes, any of the stuff that I know is CGI in here. I think it looks great, and I don't have any issue with it whatsoever. Even though I'm sure there'll be detractors out there, but you know what? I'm in a positive mood, so I don't want to talk about them. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it looks great. I don't have anything in here going on that I don't look at and think, I wish that looked different than it did.
Right. Well, and obviously the Atlanta stuff is gorgeous. It's underwater. It's super colorful and fantastical and amazing. But even the stuff on land it's better. The stuff on land, even the stuff with his parents, the stuff when they're on their little Raiders of the Lost Ark quest in the desert, just all the shots. This movie looks gorgeous.
I couldn't agree more than what I've seen so far.
So no, I'm blown away by it. And then let's talk about the shot of Mara going ham with her powers. And I promised one of our listeners that I would share my reaction. So this is for Drew, who is Liquid Bane on Twitter. So regarding that shot of Mara, I just got to say, yes, queen.
Yeah, I mean, if you're into Mara, I guess it's kind of cool, but I don't know.
Oh, man, I can't wait. I mean, like, we're only getting little glimpses. Like they seem to be holding back on what she can do, but this one shot is, like, so good.
See, I'm still hanging on to that thing. I'm pretty sure it was Juan that said this, and again, we know I'm old, I'm senile, my memory's gone. I'm pretty sure Juan said this to someone on Twitter or somewhere, or if it was in an interview, wherever it was. He said, Mara's not a sidekick. She's going to be like an equal partner in this thing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And she's the one we've literally seen the least of anything out of it. So you are 100% correct in saying we haven't even begun to see what she's going to do in this film yet. And that excites me above all other prospects.
Right. And I think they are really holding back on the third act of this movie. I mean, I think this big underwater battle is the third act, but you notice we're not really seeing Arthur in those scenes. We're not really seeing Orm in those scenes, and we only got that one quick shot of Mara in that scene. So it's like, I think there's a lot there that they are keeping for December 15th for us and for many, many people out there who got their early tickets. And so that's great. You know, I think they're being very deliberate with what they're showing and what they're not. And you're right, like, we're getting just little bits of Mara and her power, but just this one moment is enough to make me go, oh God, I can't wait. Because I love Arthur, I love Aquaman, and I'm just so glad that Mara is a partner in this, you know, that she's getting her due too.
She's been front and center in the comics for a good 4 or 5 months now. She had her own limited series, 6-issue series, called Mara, Queen of Atlantis, I think it was called. Mara, Queen of Atlantis.
That's anyway, a good name for it.
Yeah, it was an excellent series. I highly recommend it. It should be hitting trade like any day now if it's not already out. And then she, I mean, minor spoilers, she's essentially ascended to become the Queen of Atlantis. Arthur stepped down as king. Orm was overthrown. Well, actually, Orm was already overthrown. That has to do in the miniseries. But anyway, there was another. Coram Wrath was the king for probably close to the better part of a year. So in overthrowing Coram Wrath, Mara's the one that ascended to the throne, and she's been running things, and even into Drowned Earth now. I mean, she's been doing a great job. I mean, I'd vote for her right now, but you know, she's better than any choice we've had in years. But anyway, she's been at the forefront, and she's been a very well written, very well handled character, and I'm looking forward to seeing that same treatment of her in live action format.
Absolutely. So we get that, which is amazing. We get a little glimpse of Arthur using his, what do you call it? Telepathy, I guess, his aquatic telepathy here.
Aquakinesis, is it? I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Maybe. But I mean, it looks kind of right off the page how it should. You get some glimpses of some really massive creatures in this huge battle.
I'm not a big fan of massive creatures or nothing, but those look good to me.
Yeah. And like I mentioned earlier, these underwater dogfights with these ray-looking ships. Oh man.
It's going to be so ridiculous, and I'm going to love it.
Like, again, the scope of this thing is so huge. It looks so good. It looks exciting, super imaginative with, like, the design work. Like, oh, man, whoever the production designer on this was, kudos to them. All around, like, from the costumes to the look of the soldiers to the looks of the creatures, like, just, and Atlantis itself. I mean, just, for me, they're hitting all the right notes.
Yeah, certainly.
And it kind of... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, because I know you just mentioned, you know, in the third act, we don't really seem to be, we assume anyway, don't seem to be seeing a lot of Orm and Arthur in that. You know, of course, we got the costume reveal at the end of the footage, and then at the end of this one as well with the golden green costume. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that's not just going to be like the closing shot of the film when the Aquaman logo comes up and they start rolling credits. So there's not a single bit of action that we see of him wearing that suit anywhere in this trailer that I've spotted anyway. If somebody's got a better eye than me and watched it on a bigger screen and see it, you know, more power to you. But I have not caught anything where he's kicking anybody's tail wearing that outfit.
And that's kind of what I was getting at is, you get those 2 quick shots of Orm in the Ocean Master garb, and then you get just that 1 shot of Arthur in the gold and green. And so I feel like they're going to be wearing those outfits for at least the 3rd act, and then when we're not seeing it.
Right.
So that's exciting too.
Agreed.
More to come. And it does kind of choose the same note to go out on as the extended trailer when, she says, Atlantis has always had a king. Now it needs something more than a king. And Arthur says, well, what's greater than a king? And she goes with, it's a hero. And that is when you get that final shot. And I do love that amidst many money shots here, with these giant underwater sea creatures and everything, they still go out on that moment of just Aquaman in the outfit, emerging from the water. Awesome.
100% agreed.
Ready to take his place.
Now, just a quick speculation with Black Manta. Now, I know I've said this a couple times already, but this is going to be one busy film with these characters and sequences and what happened going on. I question whether or not, assumptions. We assume that Black Manta is somehow involved with the submarine that Arthur raises to the surface near the beginning of the trailer.
Right.
And we assume that that's going to be the catalyst for him becoming Black Manta and searching out the Atlanteans, which we get the shot in this film, in this trailer, of what I assume to be his first encounter with the Atlanteans standing atop that ship and, no helmet or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we know the sequence of him and his drones, minions, whatever you want to call them, attacking in that desert town setting. I wonder if that will probably be the last that we see of Black Manta in this particular film. I hope to God we don't do another one of those kill the villain and never see him again sort of things. And I doubt we will. I mean,
there's no way Black Manta is not surviving this movie.
Yeah. So
I would stake my life on it.
But I do question whether or not, he'll just be out of commission after that sequence and nothing more from him until the sequel or maybe a post-credit scene or something along those lines. But I mean, this thing's just so busy. Would it have room for him to actually show up and battle alongside Orm against Arthur in the 3rd act? I mean, it's something I'd certainly want to see, but I think that just might be just too much to fill in this much time.
Yeah. I mean, I hope you're right. I hope he still does play a part in the finale. But you're right. It could just be a supporting thing where he's kind of set up. He is an obstacle in the middle of the film, and then that's it. We'll see. But yes, I would love to see him be a part of the big finish because Arthur's got to take on Orm, so maybe Mara's got to take on Black Manta.
You might be right. Maybe. Yeah. I
throwing it out there.
I actually assume Nereus is who she's going to have to contend with by the end of the film.
Isn't that like her dad?
Yeah.
Is her dad?
And she and her dad aren't exactly the friendliest people in the comics, so that's why I come to that conclusion. But
that makes sense too.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not looking the gift horse in the mouth here. I'm delighted as can be to have Black Manta's film. So if that's all we get of him, then fine. I'll be content with it. But I just question whether or not he might show back up in that 3rd act battle.
Yeah. No, I get it. I understand the question. You did mention that shot though. We get this shot of him standing on the ship being approached by these Atlantean soldiers, and another just gorgeous shot with like the light coming out from the water and him standing there. So it's just gorgeous. I can't wait.
I did not catch anything at all in this trailer from the trench.
Yeah, they left them off of this trailer.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying there's another sequence that wasn't even shown in this trailer that we know is in the film. So
yeah. There's a lot happening.
If nothing else, we're going to be thoroughly entertained, I think.
I think you're right. I mean, and like I mentioned on the episode with Brendan, we talked about like Warner Brothers seems very confident in this film, and the fact that they're putting it in 1,000 theaters a week before it opens to get additional word of mouth shows how confident they are in this film. You don't do that with a movie you're concerned about the reception to, because there's been a lot of talk about this release date, December 21st, because it's opening against Bumblebee and like 2 days after or before Mary Poppins. Like there's 2 days after, I think, Mary Poppins. And like, so there's a lot coming out in the week that Aquaman is coming out. And Warner Brothers, I think, instead of changing the release date, that this is their strategy, is let people see it a week in advance and get the word of mouth going then, and then we'll open and people will hear how good it is. So it's a huge show of confidence in the film that they're doing it the way they are.
Yeah, I fully agree. And frankly, I've gotten that feeling about it pretty much right along since the first trailer happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Obviously, Juan carries a great affinity for it. I mean, he's been out there in everybody's face in the most positive manner. Mind you, I'm not saying he's being antagonistic or anything, but I mean, he's been a constant presence on social media and whatnot. And you can just, I mean, a lot of times you get the people talking about how proud they are of a film, and you just feel like they're going through the motions. I 100% get a genuine feel from Juan that he really is pleased with what he's done here.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
usually when a filmmaker, especially one of his caliber, because in my opinion he's an excellent filmmaker, when you get them feeling this good about a project, especially a project of this caliber, I don't see how it can be anything but a pleasant success, you know?
Mm-hmm. Totally. No, I mean, I think that everyone's really confident in it, and I mean, it's what happened with Wonder Woman. They realized what they had. They started letting people see it early so you could start telling them how good it was. They dropped the embargoes early. I mean, the fact that they did the press screening last week in the middle of November, a full month out, is a huge indicator as well. So I think it's all good news around Aquaman, and getting this final trailer was just the cherry on top. It'll have to tide us over for less than a month now, though, which is exciting because December 15th, we are so in.
Yeah, let's see what we got here. For all of you Amazon people on the East Coast, as of recording, 25 days, 21 hours, 20 minutes, 34 seconds. Anybody waiting for the weekend, you're 5 days after that number.
Right. Coming right up. So, final trailer. I am pleased as punch. Again, I thought we wouldn't maybe get it for another couple weeks, but we got it now. Hey, another thing to be thankful for this Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Well, anyway, we will be there. We know you guys will be there as well for Aquaman in just about a month or so. It is our Christmas gift this year. So glad we were able to get together to go over this final trailer. Jamie, is there anything else in the trailer that I failed to bring up that you're going to kick yourself later for missing?
Giant crab monster.
Cool.
Yeah, I had to say it because it's been in my head.
There's also that, which I'm glad he got another job after Moana.
I never saw Moana, so I can't help you with that.
Well, there's a giant crab monster in Moana too.
Well, maybe I should watch it then.
And then there is that also that other giant creature biting into a ship as it passes by. Because you know why, Jamie? There's always a bigger fish.
Indeed, there is.
And hopefully there'll be no bigger fish than Aquaman this Christmas. But
I think Mary Poppins is the only possible competition it's even got, honestly.
Yeah, and even that, I feel like there's definitely room for both.
Oh, sure, sure.
And I think that, like, that'll skew more younger, and this will skew more older. So, and then people are off for the holidays for like 2 weeks. They can go to both. They'll see one the week of Christmas, they'll see one the week of New Year's, and flip-flop.
I'll probably just see Aquaman at least one more time.
Yeah, probably me too.
Assuming it's not a horrible film, which I don't get that feeling at all, but you never can tell till you see it.
This is true. Well, exciting times ahead, Jamie. Thanks for jumping on this podcast at something of the last minute. Glad we were able to make it happen. If the folks at home want to keep up with you, where can they do that?
You can find me on Twitter at Dead from Turkey Overdose.
Oh, good.
I'm
it's a very common name this week.
Oh, I've already had one, and I'm telling you, I thought I was going to have to be carried out of that house. It was crazy.
We just had our work potluck, and even then I was like, and I hate myself, but it was delicious.
This was the trial run. I'm getting ready for the real day on Thursday. It's like practicing for a marathon or something.
Yeah, that's right. It's like stretching before a race. No, follow Jamie on Twitter, BatRaider3960.
Correct.
Cool. You guys know where to follow me. Thank you for downloading the show. Very much appreciated. Make sure you do subscribe to the show. Please rate and review us on iTunes. And as Michael Keaton's Batman likes to say, I want you to tell all your friends about me. Visit holybatcast.com. Follow Holy BatCast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And if you want to send us an email, you can do that at holybatcast@rf4rm.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 323-366-9246. So on behalf of Jamie, I've been Andy. This has been Holy BatCast. We will see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. And for this week, please have a happy and thankful Batsgiving.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by real fans for real movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
In this trident resides the power of Atlantis. In their own hands, it would bring destruction. But in the hands of the true heir, it would unite above and below.
The time has come for Atlantis to rise again.
We must stop him.
And how do you propose we do that?
By retrieving this.
I already got one of those.
Not like this one, you don't.